Yeah, what the heck, I'll make 3 today because it's a tremendous opportunity, right? I was talking in the last video about kind of going with the personality of these animals, and for purposes of clarity, I'm talking about Mangalitsa and Mangalitsa crosses, all right? And I'm going to go into the purpose of a pure Mangalitsa or a non-crossed or non-hybridized, and then one that's crossed. There's a good reason for it, and we need to talk about it, what the distinction is there. But for right now, I just took enough straw off of this bale that I brought out, and I bedded all their huts, so they're good to go. It's 8 below right now again. It's going to be like that for another 10 days. So I want to make sure everybody's got good bedding. I gave them a bale of straw. Straw is different than hay. Hay they eat. Straw is for bedding purposes, but look what they're doing right now. I mean, it's a new toy out here for them. So they're going to investigate it. They're going to go through it. And in there, they're finding little grains of barley. This is barley straw, right? It's the stalks and the leaves when a combine goes through a field when they're harvesting barley. And if you don't know what barley is, it's a small grain, sort of like wheat, and they grow on the tops of these barley grasses. And then we go back through after the combine's been through and bale up what's left, and that's the stalks and the leaves, and it's for bedding purposes. But I'm going to get more than bedding out of it, and this is where I think we want to talk about, if we're pasture raising pigs, Mangalitsa crosses, let's talk about the pasture. Let's talk about pasture, because you are what you eat, and so they are what they eat. And so on this pasture in the spring, I'm going to be planting this again and getting another crop going on here. And I have lots of these little pastures like this on the farm. So I have to be concerned with the health of the soil. So I'm bedding these guys. How do those two things, where do they intersect? Where do those two things intersect? Bedding animals and the health of the soil. Well, I can tell you. Okay, I'm using a straw here that was produced by a person that doesn't spray. He doesn't have to spray glyphosate on his crop before he brings it in. Glyphosate is it's a chemical that's used to defoliate. All right, and they don't do that most of the time in the barley world. They do some of it on wheat now, but they don't do it for defoliation. They do it for drying purposes, and that's a whole nother story. You can find that out on your own, because I don't want to throw stones at any big boys here. That's not my purpose. I want to stay out of trouble if I can. But by putting this nice clean straw down, and obviously I've put out more than I need, these guys are going to go through this, and they're going to have this all spread out by the time they're done, because look at them, they're going through and they're looking for those little kernels, and they paw through it and they move it around, and then they'll sleep in it, and while they're doing it, they're going to urinate on it. And come spring, a lot of this stuff is going to be pulverized into small pieces, and then it will become part of the soil, because the soil is full of bacteria that is looking for stuff like this to eat. And so by bedding out on our grow fields and growing our animals out on our grow fields, we're actually getting a kick from them because of their behavior here. See? Now let's say I tried to keep them off of there. I go and shoo them up. Hey, you guys, get off of that straw there, will you? Look at what you're doing. They're not going to do it. They're not going to listen to me. So they're going to be little brats, and they're going to spread it all out and do everything. And I try to tell them don't do it. But with pigs, a lot of times, like kids, you tell them not to do something and then they do it. So I encourage them to not take care of their rooms here, and actually they're doing what I want them to do. And then come spring, all that becomes food for the bacteria in my soil. Okay, here's an example of something right here. You see these guys? See, that guy is stepping right there. He's stepping on the hot wire. So that's a clue to me that there's a problem. There's a hot wire problem. But what they're doing more than that is they're digging at the root of the fence, and that's a place where there is some foliage. It's dried up, but it is foliage there because they were not previously able to get to it because the wire was in the way. And so, you know, I mean, this time of the year, they're going to seek what they need to keep themselves healthy. If they were in a building, you know, then I have to provide them with everything that they need. Or if they're on a dirt patch where they can't get away from it, then I have to provide them with what they need. And I'm going to add a few of my personal tricks for health of these as I go through this. But you can see what they are seeking there is dirt at the fence line. Now that's dirt that hasn't been molested in quite a while. So there's something there that they need. That's a clue. That's a clue. You should pay attention to that. Okay, here's my little brat fellas, and they're going to spread that bale all out. And even though I've just bedded their houses, they will probably sleep on this tonight because it'll be so warm for them. And again, 8 degrees below zero right now, but it's nice and sunny. These are some happy dudes right here. And I think that's one of the things that you're going to want to strive for as a pasture Mangalitsa cross producer is how are you going to keep your animals happy? So they need, you know, bedding, they need a source of moisture, they need food. So how are you going to get there, and what's going to be the best course to go to produce a premium animal useful for you know, fresh meat and charcuterie. If you don't know what charcuterie is, we'll go into that at a later date, but that's really the use of this pig in the United States. That was the idea that we were going to when we started this thing back in 2009. Okay, so here we are, kind of another start again. And as people get into this, we want to kind of make very clear what the discipline is. You can do what you want. You can raise them in your house if you want to, but to get the premium, you're going to want to at least hear these disciplines and make the choice of what you're going to do, yes or no. Okay, so I'm going to get off right there. I think I've kind of covered it. Yeah, I'm going to get off right there. Happy New Year's. Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Anyone can farm.